We're not even talking about stocks. These are just simple treasury bonds. And it's not even a stock selection issue. 29.5-year-old bonds, 30-year bonds. That pattern shouldn't exist, but it did. But in 1998, we realized why it did. Because in times of crises, people go to liquidity. When people go to liquidity, and the people who are holding that position very leveraged, buying the 29.5 and shorting the 30, they're going to lose their shirts and their yachts in the process, which is pretty much what happened to long-term capital management owners and obviously their clients as well. So just because we can even define the abnormal returns does not necessarily mean that we can look at only historical data and claim that markets are efficient or are not efficient. So, based on all the data we had until 1998, markets were not efficient. I'll give you another example. This happened during COVID years. I mean, you guys probably heard of something called short squeeze, right? You must have heard what happened to the GameStop stock. That was a classic example of a short squeeze. In case you don't know, shorting means you sell the stocks that you do not own. You sometimes you borrow the stock, sometimes actually some brokers allow you to do naked shorting, or you can do it through options and stuff. GameStop was in trouble as a company, and a lot of the shorters. I mean, there are some hedge funds that specialize in shorting the stocks of what you want to call troubled companies. And one guy looked at it. I don't remember his name now. He made a fame for himself. Uh, and he looks at, I'm just making up numbers now. There are 100 million shares available of GameStop, and the number of shorted stocks was 200 million. So people overshorted it. And for a lot of stocks, you can see that number. For example, let's look at GameStop right now. Under yahoofinance.com, if you go to statistics, down here at the bottom, you can say shares short 27 million. Total available shares is what? 408 million. So it's not very high right now. But those days, the so-called short interest ratio was about 200%. This guy realized, and he started I think it was on Reddit. Uh, he started an argument, and he put some of his own money, but he basically convinced people that if we go after these shorters, they're going to make a lot of money, and they did. Let's look at the chart of GameStop. Oh, charts. Let's see. I think 5 years would give me enough. Yeah. Right about here, it was about 61 cents. This is, middle 2020, and it went as high as $80. It went from 61 cents to $80. That is why it's short squeeze. You know that if you keep buying it and if you can finance that purchase, Shorting means either you do it legally, you borrow somebody else's stock, you sell it in the market at 61 cents, and you're hoping that it's going to go all the way down to zero. You're going to buy it back maybe at 1 cent, and you pay off the stock loan that you got. That's how you make money. But there is no upper limit to how much money you could lose on a short position. Because if that stock goes to $1,000, you're going to lose $1,000 minus 61 cents per stock. Obviously, it is going up. It is going up. A lot of people who lent them their stock is going to want it back because I lent it when it was 61 cents. The stock went up to, let's say, $20. To me, GameStop wasn't that worth that much anyway. I want to sell it myself. But to sell it, I got to get it back. And those guys have to buy it back, which is kind of what happened. It went up as high as $80. And that guy made a killing. I think he's now worth more than $400 million, by the way. He did a similar thing about a year ago, but I think he's insisting too much on this company. But either way, that's a short squeeze. That we can understand. Uh, Somebody behaved irrationally. They overshorted the stock. Because of that, somebody was able to make money off of it. But even that is very risky. During COVID years, what was the first thing we did after COVID? We stopped driving anywhere, right? Because everything was closed. You can estimate what happened to the oil prices. They went down. It turned out, oil as a physical commodity cannot go to a negative price. But there are oil futures. These are contracts where if you're long, you promise to buy it at a certain price and get the delivery. If you're short, you're promised to deliver the oil and get a certain price for that. Short-term oil futures went negative. That was kind of unknown to people. They said, how could the price of something that's going to be delivered only 2 months from now can be negative? It's a physical commodity. This was actually what we called jokingly a long squeeze. Uh, Companies, in fact, Goldman Sachs used to be very famous for this. If they're long on the oil futures, obviously, you know, you're thinking that oil prices are going to be higher in the future, right? Because you promised to buy it at, let's say, $10, and you're hoping that by the time it comes, it's going to be higher. So to hedge themselves, they actually bought the physical oil in the physical market, and you buy the oil, you put it into certain tankers or oil depots, but there is only a limited physical capacity you can store crude oil, and that capacity was exceeded because when oil futures were trading at, say, let's $5 a barrel, that's damn cheap, right? You know that this COVID thing, one way or another, is going to go away. So if I buy the oil futures at $5 now, it is almost guaranteed that I'm going to make money. Oh, turned out, no, it wasn't guaranteed. Everybody tried to do this, and in order to make money off of that, you need to buy the physical crude, which was very low because nobody wanted oil, and you have to store it until you can actually sell it in the market. At some point, that limit of physical storage has been exceeded. Suddenly, you know, you can't do anything with it. So, which means you have to close your position in the futures market because you overextended yourself. Because of that, oil prices went down, oil futures went down as low as negative $80. Even that is not irrational. Okay. You cannot say, oh, oil futures are trading at negative. I can make money off of that. There is no guarantee you can. So markets are not that inefficient, even in these specific circumstances where you're not even talking about stock selection. All right. Let's talk about the final form of market efficiency. This is called the weak form. It says you cannot earn abnormal returns. Again, there's a big if what that abnormal returns mean using past prices and volume information alone. This basically means you cannot consistently outperform the market using technical analysis. Technical analysis are methods that looks into certain patterns